Hello everyone, my name is Ruben from Skyline Productions. I am the music composer for the video game Bridgebourn, and today I wanted to welcome you to the very first Making of Bridgebourn OST video, where we will be going over the main theme for Bridgebourn, aka the menu theme. So I had put on our Discord server, the official Bridgebourn server, a question to see if anybody actually wanted to see this kind of video, and then only one person replied. So anyway, Waffles, this one's for you. So whether you're a seasoned music composer or you don't know anything about music, I hope you stick around and at least be entertained a little bit. Mom, hey, sorry, I just wanted to call you to ask, how do I make an entertaining video? Well, you kind of have to be funny and entertaining first. Okay, I'm sorry, this is a mistake. Oh god, if that already didn't reveal that I'm a huge dweeb, I don't know what will. So before we get started, I wanted to show you guys what reference track that CFS sent me whenever we were coming up with the main Bridgebourn theme. Both he and I are huge anime and Final Fantasy nerds, so you're going to see a lot of that in the soundtrack. But for the main menu theme, we're using Beyond the Seas from Yoshihisa Hirano. I think I got that right. They are the composer for the Hunter x Hunter anime, and I think that is the 2014 version. And then for the back half of the theme, we used Rabinaster Downtown from Final Fantasy XII. So whenever working with reference tracks, what I like to do is actually write down my thoughts as I'm listening to them and kind of come up with ways that I can take the elements of those tracks and put them into my own music without plagiarizing them. So here we are in Studio One. This is my preferred DAW of choice. I know a lot of people use Pro Tools, Cubase, etc. And I've tried them out. I've just always come back to this one. I guess it's my comfort DAW. And I'm using Studio One 11 Professional, not the artist version, which is free with any PreSonus audio device purchase. I'm also using the UAD Volt 476 as my audio interface. And for my plugins, it's a variety of stuff. So without further ado, let's just give this a quick listen before I get into how I came up with everything. Very nice. Okay. So let's take a look at this plugin from Native Instruments. It's called Lores. This is the preset that I was using. I did tweak it just a little bit, but it basically works kind of like an organic pad. So not using a synthesizer, but actual instruments. You can do a lot of other stuff with Lores, but I primarily use it as a pad. With that being said, let's take a look at our chord progression. We're in the key of C. First things first, and okay, look, don't pay too much of attention on what Studio One likes to call chords. A lot of the times they're just blatantly incorrect. Really what we have here from the bottom up is C, G, C. So we have root, root, and a fifth. And then I have another G here, a B, and another G here at the top. So it's really just a C major 7 in music theory terms. The major 7 referring to this B note here. Whenever looking at a C major scale, there's 7 notes, B being the 7th one. We add that to our C major chord, which makes a C major 7. The next chord over, Studio One likes to call this D minor 7 add 13 over G, which is a mouthful, but it's not really what I was going for. Really all it is just a G chord with some tensions in it. So right here you can see I have a G and an A stacked next to each other, and a B and a C here stacked next to each other to kind of give it a little bit more tension. The next chord over, oh hey look, they actually got it right. It's an E minor 9, E, B, G, so that is our first, our fifth, and our third. D here makes it an E minor 7, and then the F sharp makes it an E minor 9 here at the top. I do have some other extended voicings here. I like to have a G next to this F sharp just to give it more of that tension that I was talking about earlier. And then just to brighten it up, we have another third here at the top. Next chord over is an F minor add 9. I am a big fan of the minor 4 whenever it comes to major key writing. So you're going to see that in this track a few times. And then accompanying lures, we have the Cremona Quartet. I believe this is Stradivari violin, Guarneri violin, and the Stradivari cello. They're just playing a lot of chord tones along with whatever Lors is doing. Another thing to do to make your track kind of come to life is adding dynamics using this modulation settings here. Pretty much every DAW is going to have its own way for changing modulation, but Studio One gives us this little thing. What I did is I just got my MIDI keyboard and I played along with the track whenever it was going. Let's go to the next section over. We're going to be repeating our chords, but this time we're adding mallet flux, again from Native Instruments. It's basically an arpeggiator using a lot of the concert percussion instruments, like the Glockenspiel, Celesta, xylophone. I got some more Glockenspiels here. That's pretty much all that's happening there. Let's go over to this measure here. We have a flat 7 going into our 1 chord. That's like classic RPG, video game music, chord progressions. It gives it that nice big adventure feeling. I'll point that out again later whenever it comes up again. Big crescendo here. Now we're into our main melody. Nice. Okay. Let's see what's going on here. If you haven't already been able to tell, I basically took the chords from the intro and I condensed them down so that it's 1 chord for each measure. And then at the end of each phrase, I have a major 4 going into minor 4. That is this right here. Just because that minor 4 really wants to resolve down back to the 1 chord, it gives it a nice strong resolution. Anyway, let's go into the next section here. Obviously, we have the brass taking over. French horns playing a counter melody whenever the trumpets are holding on to like a whole note or a dotted half note or something. That's how I go about doing counterpoint. Is I like to add sprinkles of melody whenever other instruments are holding off on a note. You can hear it there. And then our brass ensemble here, which is just trombones and tuba, I think, like trombone, bass, trombone, and tuba. They're following what our snare drum is doing here. Nice big march sound. Just playing along to the chords. Let's take a look at the orchestra too. We have actually the cello accompanying the French horn counter melody. And then down here, here's me playing the piano. Don't look at the quantized bars, I definitely played in time. I'm gonna go ahead and move over to the transition part. We're gonna hear a flat 6, flat 7 to 1 chord. Hear that here. Big hit on the second beat there. Tuba's going off. Forte piano to crescendo brings us to our next section here. Okay, now that we've gone over the general outline of this section here, I wanted to take a little closer look at our melody here. So what we're doing here is I'm basically landing on chord tones anytime a chord is changing. So here, if you remember, we have a C chord playing here, a G chord playing here, an E minor here, and then an F chord. So these are all of our target notes. What I really wanted to focus on, though, is this note here. Now, when we look at the notation here, we'd want to hear something like... That would make sense, right? It's just a scale going down. But since I have that 3 chord here, I didn't want to have a B in our chord clashing along with the C. Also, what I didn't want is to have a C note playing with a C chord until the very end. Basically, whenever you have the one note playing over the one chord, it gives a sense of finality, and that's not really what I wanted to hear just yet. So whenever the trumpets take over, when we have that flat 6, flat 7 back to 1, we have that one note playing over our one chord here. To kind of cap off this section. And again, that brings us nicely to our next section here. Again, this is inspired by Rabbinaster Downtown from FF12. For this section here, Sia wanted it to sound like you walked into a bazaar at sundown and you're looking around, enjoying the atmosphere. Maybe there's a few merchants here and there. If you've ever been to any of the towns in Bridgebourn, like Lake Bend, you know, there's always stuff to do. And we wanted this section here to kind of encapsulate that feeling of playing the game. Let's take a listen. Middle Eastern percussion from the Spotlight series and Native Instruments brings us in. Orchestra playing pizzicato. Different chord progression this time, but still relatively straightforward. Here we have the viola taking a melody here. So before we go on, if you've played Bridgebourn, you might recognize that melody. What it is actually the Reaper theme kind of condensed down to 3/4 time and made major. Take another listen to it and see if you can spot it. Bring up the sheet music for you. And yes, I did give the viola the melody. I will now be accepting head pats from every viola player in the world who has always had to play a secondary counterpoint melody that sounds like garbage. But yeah, basically if I were to make that into minor, it would sound a little bit like this. But instead, in major and in 3/4, it sounds more like this. What I like to do is I like to reference leitmotifs just about anywhere that I can. The Reapers are pretty much the main antagonists that you fight in Bridgebourn, so I wanted to add something that represents them in this main theme here. Okay, let's keep on moving. We now have the woodwinds accompanying our viola melody. Just harmonizing with it, nothing too crazy. Fun little drum fill. Now we're back to our main melody. So this section sounds a lot different, right? It's not the big grand orchestral thing that we had earlier. We have just one soloist here, played by Stradivari violin from Native Instruments. We have classical guitar played by me, bass part also played by me, and then just some block chords on the piano, followed by the Middle Eastern percussion patch that I was talking about earlier. Yeah, and if I can help it, I will try to play things myself and not resort to using MIDI all the time, just because it adds that human element. Just give it a listen. I think it actually sounds quite nice. The classical guitar that I'm using here is the Cordoba GK Studio Negra, and I'm using Archetype Tim Henson for the tone there. And the bass is a Fender P bass, American made, using Dark Glass Ultra. What I really wanted this to sound like is you're walking down this bazaar and you stumble across these street performers, and you just take time to stop, listen, smell the roses, and really enjoy what's happening around you. A lot like how you can play Bridgebourn. You just kind of enjoy the beauty of the artwork and the fun, customizable spells and stuff like that, and really just get lost in it. So let's take a listen. Lots of nice little portamentos there from Stradivari violin. Flat 6, flat 7, back to 1. Yeah, I could listen to this section for a long time. Just loop it over and over again. I love the way that it sounds. Now we have piano and lures along with the bass to take us back home. A little bit of nice ambience there. Finishing off with that really pretty C major 7 chord. So that's basically everything for this track. Did you like it? I hope you did. I sure did spend a lot of time writing it. Not because the song is overly complicated or anything, but because we really wanted to get just the vibes right, you know? And whenever writing a main track, you don't want to overcomplicate it. You're gonna lose a lot of listeners by adding a lot of weird, complex music theory stuff. And you want a hummable and solid melody to accompany it. So I hope you're able to learn a thing or two today, and I hope my voice wasn't too grating for you, as I'm sure it will be for me when I'm editing this video. Anyway, I'd like to also announce that Bridgebourn has a new update, and it's out now. Please go play it. Lots of new content, some new songs in there. Sia is working really, really hard to make sure that this game is the best that it could be, and we've actually taken a lot of input from viewers like you. If you want to be a part of our community, please go down to the Discord link below and join us. Sometimes Sia streams what's going on in development. A lot of times, whenever he does stream, he'll be drawing and animating various things. So that's a lot of fun to take part in. Our community is awesome. I love hanging out with you guys and talking with y'all whenever I get a chance. You guys are funny as hell too. Anyway, if you liked the video, please leave a like. Subscribe for more content, leave a comment telling me which track we should break down next. Today I was drinking the Persona 3 G Fuel Cadenza with my Persona 3 G Fuel shaker, in case you were wondering. Anyway guys, that's about it. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time on the Skyline.